So, now on to one of the most fundamental things in the edit. We're going to look at how to manage timelines and get the starting settings right before we commit to our edit. A timeline, also referred to as a sequence, is an item that contains clips which have been edited together. There's no limit to the number of timelines you can have within a single project, and you can even put one timeline within another. We're going to take a look at how to make a new timeline and the importance of the settings used in its creation. When we open up a new project, we don't have a timeline already waiting for us. In a real edit, we need to make a timeline with the correct settings before we begin working. Making a new timeline is very simple, but we're going to take a look at our project settings first. So down here is the little gear that we are now familiar with, and we're going to click it. This opens up the project settings panel that we saw during the optimized media lecture. And right up here at the top, we have some basic project master settings. So this panel allows us to change all the different settings for our project, looking at things like resolution and frame rate. This project needs to be 1920 by 1080 resolution and a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. For most, if not all, of the projects in this course, we'll be working at 1080p because 4K files make for bigger downloads. Now, we've covered the use of optimized media for high resolution and H.264 material. If you have a 4K project to edit, then my advice is to use optimized media to ensure fast playback and then switch back to native files at the end during export. And we will cover how to do that in the final few videos regarding this project when we do actually export it. So that covers our basic timeline format options here. We're going to take a look at our actual timeline settings next. When we make a new timeline, it starts by mirroring our project master settings, but we can change the settings of each timeline individually as well. To make a new timeline, all we have to do is right-click in some empty space in the media pool and choose New Timeline. Now, I have made a bin for timelines in this project, so make sure that you have that bin active. Left-click on it once, and then right-click in here, Timelines, Create New Timeline, or the shortcuts for that is Control or Command and the letter N. This new window lets us set the settings for a new timeline. By default, we have Start Timecode, Name, and Tracks available, but we can hit the Use Custom Settings button here. We can click through these tabs up here and we can set all kinds of things manually. For now, I'm happy with a 1920p 25 frames per second project in 16 by 9 pixel aspect ratio square. That's fine. I don't need to change anything here. We are going to change one general setting first. I want to have 2 audio tracks, not 1. And I don't want my audio track types to be stereo. Now, I know that sounds a little odd, but the first 2 tracks in this edit are going to contain recordings for dialogue, and we always want dialogue to be mono, not stereo. So I'm going to set 2 audio tracks, and then in this drop-down menu here, I'm going to choose mono before I hit create. I will then call this timeline Jim Candy First Assembly. Now, we can be really organized about the way in which we name our sequences. We can call this V1, and we can also include the date as well, so 25/03/2020. And that way we know exactly when we last worked on this. This can be a good way to organize your projects with multiple sequences. That way you are never at any doubt as to what your most recent edit is. I deal with a lot of film students who end up with something like 7 or 8 timelines, all called final edit, and that doesn't help anyone. Once we have this all set, we can hit create. And we have a timeline show up down here with 1 video track, 2 mono audio tracks, and then we now have a black empty program viewer. Up here in the upper left, you will notice that our media pool now contains a timeline item. This little icon here with the 2 divided bars is the icon for timeline, and if I hit the thumbnail view, the open timeline has an orange check in the upper right corner. Another thing to notice is that directly above the program viewer in orange, I have the name of my currently open timeline up here. So that's an easy way to tell which timeline we currently have open. As I add more timelines to my project, I can double click on a timeline to open it up and start working in there, or I can click the chevron down here, and this drop down menu allows me to easily switch between my timelines just by choosing the name from a list without the need to go back in and sift through my media pool. So click on through to the next lecture.